Hello everyone, I'm your host, Metal Horror Gamer, and I'm with...
Hi, it's me, Mother Mischief.
And today we just came back from the movies, which was at the Alamo Drafthouse. And they're having an event, they have it every Wednesday. It's known as the Alamo Drafthouse Horror Shows Wednesday at Westlakes.
Yeah.
And basically all it is that they show horror films every Wednesday, apparently. And this is our first one we went to. And... today, the movie they showed was Pumpkinhead.
My favorite.
The original movie. The very first one. And I've always heard of Pumpkinhead. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never seen the film until today. And I guess this is a good way to see the film. You see it in the theater, on the big screen, which is really nice. So yeah, at the Alamo Drafthouse, apparently every Wednesday they do this. And before the movie started, the guy, I guess, who hosts it, he got up in front of the screen and he gave a little insight on the actual film and gave insight on the actors, directors, whatever. And I thought that was just a nice touch because, it kind of reminds me of in the beginning of Frankenstein. With a guy where he warns you about the movie and shit.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it was we wanted just we wanted to just discuss the movie, almost like a review. Maybe we can do this every Wednesday and go watch the movies and then just review them. This could be a fun new series we can do.
Yeah.
And I love horror films, so going to watch a lot of horror films in the theater is always good.
Pumpkinhead, I love it.
Alright, well, I guess let's just discuss the film Pumpkinhead. Watching this film, it made me depressed. Not because the film's depressing, but because I really love older horror films more than modern horror films.
Yeah.
There's something about modern horror films that just don't do it right as classic horror films.
Of course not. They use CGI.
I don't mean just that. I mean... you take this film, for instance. To me, older horror films, they nail down every aspect of the film better than modern films. And this film, the intro, it's the credits are playing, but it's it's an ominous song, and there's no it's not overly trying to be I gotta add some song from a soundtrack here and there, some music from people gonna recognize. That kind of music takes me out of the film experience.
Yeah.
This one didn't have that, and plus the opening scene where these people are being chased down by Pumpkinhead to me was very well done. Just the way it was shot and the way the atmosphere was perfect. And it's something like a lot of horror films, again, they don't capture this atmosphere anymore where it just feels like a horror film. They always try to put things in the daylight and the bright and in the cities or whatever, so everyone's talking, having a fun time, goofy time. They always take you out of that horror feeling. This movie just starts with the horror, and it's not just that, but they also do everything else right. With the soundtrack, everything you could tell was custom made for the film, and everything fits the tone of the film, whether it's supposed to be the horror music or the town music, whatever. Everything fits. It's not randomly playing some pop song or some rock song out of nowhere just because they have to have a soundtrack for it. And seeing for the cinematography on certain scenes, the way the camera moves, it's a subtle thing, and if you don't look for that kind of stuff, you're not really even gonna notice it. But I do look for camera work, and when I see it, it's wow, I like how they did that shot there. And these horror films, these older ones, said down from every aspect, from acting. This movie has
Bishop.
Yeah, well, that's not his name.
I know.
Lance Henriksen, who plays Bishop in Aliens. He's a great actor. So the moment I saw him, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a good movie because I like him as an actor. So these older movies, they have the atmosphere, they have the music, they have the actors, they have the seriousness. Where it's staying true to its to its tone. The story is a good story. It's a decent story. The animatronics or the puppet work, whatever, The monster looks fantastic.
Yes.
Pumpkinhead looks great. I can just imagine how it would look now. It would be all CGI and it look like shit.
Yeah.
You know, so I love the way it looks here. And it's like, why can't modern horror films be this good anymore? It's depressing. And you know, one thing I've always noticed with older horror films that I miss in newer ones is the lack of the film grain. To me, when older horror films have that, it adds a special touch to the film. While modern movies, they're completely HD, and it's so crystal clear, the film grain is gone. And it's like, everything's too clean. And it doesn't look right for a horror film. I think on horror films, it should be mandatory to add film grain in there. It just looks better. Every other type of movie, action movies, whatever, you can take out the film grain. But horror movies have to have it. It just adds to the
tone of it.
Yeah, you know, without it, it feels like I'm not watching a horror film. It doesn't look dirty enough to be a horror film. If that's or like a lack of a better word or description for it. I just love the film grain in these films, these older movies. And
oh yeah.
So, you want to say anything right now before we even get into the movie?
I mean, you covered pretty much the parts that, because we had kind of discussed this before, and it's, God, that's slow. I mean, you kind of discussed this before, and you know, pretty much hitting all the points that were mentioned before, such as the graininess, the set of a scene, whether when it comes to the music, to the actual characters, the what I call like the main event, the monsters themselves and everything else. And it is true that, you know, a lot of modern day horror films, they're just crisp and clear because everybody wants that HD experience or whatever, but to me, I think going back to some of the older ones, to a lot of the older films, I should say, that have stood the test of time and still recognized today as some of the best, you know, horror movies, whether it's sci-fi or, you know, other types of genres.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that have stood the test of time have, you know, this certain thing about them that just makes them kind of magical around the monsters and the sets and everything else. And I think it's just because it's done right. And now you kind of don't have that. Like, yeah, there's some good ones, but they're not going to really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, this film was is Stan Winston's first filmed as a director, as the guy in the Alamo Drafthouse mentioned when we started watching it. And you look back at all the work he's done, like for special effects. This guy is like up there with the best. I mean, he's worked on The Thing, The Terminator, Aliens, Predator, Pumpkinhead. I mean, Jurassic Park. You know, this guy is like top tier special effects artist. And I don't know, this was his first film actually. And he even worked on Doom too. I mean, yeah. So that's pretty crazy also. So
but if you look at the ones that you just mentioned, such as Doom, Jurassic Park, and you know, what else did you say? Terminator, The
Aliens,
Thing,
Predator.
Aliens, and look at all of those. What do they all have in common?
The monsters look great.
The monsters look good. You know, everything that the movie calls for to be unique was unique for the movie.
And it's kind of cool seeing a special effects artist given a chance to direct a film. And, you know, I like the way he directed it. It's a really dark film. And it kind of gets to you, especially, like, the whole premise of how this guy, you know, how he leaves for a moment and then, you know, comes back and his son's dead because an accident. But
yeah,
all he sees is that his son's dead and all of them left except one guy. But
except one guy.
He was still pissed off. It's like, you know, what the fuck happened? You know, my son's dead and everyone just took off and left them for dead. You know, and being a father now,
being a parent, it kind of hits you.
Yeah, it kind of like, oh my god, I can imagine seeing that to my little girl.
I mean, I think anybody would lose their shit, you know, if they left and then automatically came back into the same room or same area where their child's supposed to be and they're not there.
With Pumpkinhead, it's kind of a cool premise where, you know, like almost like you summon him for like revenge, and he like comes and he just like,
well, he's a vengeful demon.
He just kills the people that are responsible, and it's like that's such a cool concept. I thought that was really well, but the whole movie is done really well. I love the special effects on Pumpkinhead. It looks amazing. Every time I saw it, it just reminded me of Aliens. But again, Stan Winston worked on that movie as well, so it makes it makes sense why they look so similar. And I was just like, oh, but I loved it. And acting wise, it was pretty good. You know, you see people, they sound like, man, they sound really redneck, hillbilly. But that's what they're supposed to sound like. So
get away from there, you hear?
So it makes sense, and you know, I'm still buying into it. You know, it doesn't sound bad because
I mean, it's kind of, you know, like stereotypical redneck talk. Yeah, but I mean, it's just funny. Go on, get out of here. I couldn't stop laughing at those parts. But yeah, I mean, some would be considered, you know, stereotypical, but it works for that kind of movie. And like he said, it didn't, you know...
I love the whole tone of the film.
It earned its money, but I mean, it wasn't a lot.
It's one of those films that didn't get the recognition it deserved.
Yeah.
Not until it went to VHS and got a cult following.
It slowly started, you know, snowballing into this.
And that's why you have sequels and comics and video games of it. You know, that's why.
Which I got one of them. But
so it's like, but I love that. One thing I miss in films is I miss films being made to be films. And, you know, that sounds kind of weird, but to me, I feel like films are made now solely for the money and not for the artistic love of it. And like that's why every movie now feels the same. It's got to be big budget. It's got to be lots of explosions, lots of comedy where it doesn't belong, and it's like these films are too afraid to have a real serious film. And I like in this film, you know, at Pumpkinhead, there's not a moment where that they're trying to make you laugh. You know, it's not supposed to be a funny movie. It's supposed to be a horror film. It's a serious film. So I like that aspect of it. I mean, I hate how they always force humor into movies. That's one thing I love about old horror movies. They don't really try to ever do that because they know it's a horror film. It doesn't have to be funny.
Like, you know? I mean, yeah, they have kind of heartwarming moments, like such as when you see him with his son at the beginning.
Well, that's the good part. It builds it up.
Is that it helps build it up until that tragic event with his son. And then, of course, that's when it all goes, you know, downhill, you know, because that's the way it's supposed to go for that movie, because, you know, you're going to see these people die. And it's going to be going to hell in a handbasket for all of them.
One thing I like I was trying to say, is just that the movie knows what it's trying to do. It has the story and it's trying to take it serious, and it never tries to be something it's not. And which is what I really enjoyed about it. Because I know if this was a modern horror film, there would be like tons of like soundtrack music all throughout it. They'll try to show the people, the kids being like funny with each other and shit, and making jokes and adding humor where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And the monster would be CGI most likely, and it would be crap. And it was just like this movie. And one thing I love about older movies, I love the detail to sets. I love the way their sets look. Like when he goes to that old house where that old lady's at.
Yeah.
The set, it feels dark, cramped. It looks creepy. It feels right for the film. And I feel like since a lot of movies now, they do a lot of CGI work in the background. I think sets are done very shitty nowadays, and the sets don't ever look as good as they used to back then.
Yeah.
And even the outdoor sets, you know it's a set, but seeing like the way the fog is and the trees and the way you see the shadows in there, it just reminds me of like the old Universal films where they had to create these in sets.
Yeah.
And they look better than what they do, like just they add a little small part and add CGI to the rest of it. It doesn't look anywhere near as good. So seeing the movie like this, it really brought me back it made me remember why I love the older horror films. And these newer horror films, they always just falter on something. They're never right. You know, I'm not saying all modern horror films are bad, but none of them are as good as classic horror films. It's just they don't understand what a horror film's supposed to really be. And they don't hit it. And that's why, even though I like seeing some horror films brought back, like they're doing the next Halloween, but I don't expect that new Halloween to be anywhere near as good as the original Halloween. There's no way it's not ever going to be as good as that one. It's just because these newer movies don't know how to recapture what made those horror movies great. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of those great horror films, they had low budgets.
Yeah.
And it's like they made that budget stretch, and they made amazing films with it. Now I feel like films have too big of a budget, and it's just like you don't need that big of a budget, especially for horror films. You don't need a huge budget,
especially when you look at cult classics. Like Evil Dead. That didn't have a big thing, a big budget or top stars or anything. I mean, now that Bruce Campbell's at the status that he is now, I mean, everybody sees him as Ash Williams, and I mean, such as even Pumpkinhead, like of course we're doing now. I mean, that has its own following, and the thing is that a lot of these movies that have their own followings, a lot of them didn't have big budgets, and I think that's something that I feel that somebody out there needs to get into again, because I mean, the small ones always make it the biggest.
Well, I think it's still kind of true today. I've seen a lot of smaller horror films come out recently that are just better than these huge budget horror films, like the huge budget ones you're thinking of, like Annabelle and stuff like that. Those aren't really good horror films. Well, I could see a movie that comes out straight to like Netflix or something, and it's like 10 times better than those films. And it's like, because these people who are making these low budget films, they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the artistic love of filmmaking.
And I mean, me, some of these that do.
And for me, that shows in a film. When someone really loves film, it shows in the film. But when you can tell when someone just wants money, that's when you get your Fast and the Furious and shit like that. You don't love film. You just love making money.
You're following the cash cow on that one.
And it's like, it comes through the film. I know when I'm watching a film that's made for money, and I know when I'm watching a film that's made for the love of the film.
And it's exactly it. You're either paying, for quality or quantity.
The bad thing is, I think most movies now are just made for money and not made for the love of the artistic creativity of the film. I don't think half these directors even love what they're working on no more. It just doesn't seem like it. And
they're just pushing it out just for the sake of pushing it out.
And others may feel differently, but that's why it's hard for me to really get behind a lot of modern movies, because they don't feel like it's a passion project. It just feels like
the only ones that I feel I can take seriously now are the ones that I've heard that are in, movie festivals or whatever that are showing them.
Because those are made by people who are passionate.
People who are passionate about what they want to do and have, that love for what they do.
No, and I'm not saying that you can't be passionate with a big budget. You can. Yeah. I mean, look at Terminator 2, or Aliens. There's obviously passion there.
Yeah.
But they had the budget to do that. But you got to have passion when you make these films. Is there any passion in Fast and the Furious? There's no passion there.
What's the next one going to be in space, right? Or some shit? I don't know.
The movies are stupid. There's no passion going on.
I'm sorry, but after the first one, I just lost complete interest.
But okay, overall, we're kind of going off subject here.
Anyway, get back on the subject.
Pumpkinhead, overall, as a film, again, I've never seen it till today. I've seen it before. I've known about it. I've known parts of it. I've never seen it till today, and I really enjoyed seeing it in the theater. And I think that's such a cool concept that the Alamo Drafthouse is doing.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday is a horror film, because I love horror films. That's my favorite genre. So being able to go down there and see horror films on the theater screen is amazing. Even though I may have some films that they will show.
But it's just something about going and seeing them on this big screen.
It doesn't have the same experience as seeing it in the theater. Yeah. And it was a really fun way to watch the film. And overall, I really enjoyed the film. I mean, I figured I would enjoy it, but oh man, the movie was really good. It's a shame that it's one of those horror films that fell between the cracks, and it's not known to be like one of the big ones. But it's a really good film, and I would suggest anyone who hasn't seen Pumpkinhead to go watch it, because and just really watch it. Don't be expecting like, oh, it's gonna be a fright fest. I'm gonna be scared out of my mind. I wouldn't expect it. It's a creature feature, and the fun part is just seeing the monster.
Yeah,
that's where I really enjoyed it. And there are some scenes like when he walks in that church, and they go.
I love that.
And they're acting like it's a holy place, and he just like.
And he's like, "What's up, bitch?"
And he just walks in, and I love the part when he like grabs the cross, and he's just like,
like looking at it and then fucking smashing it. Yeah,
and he's just like, "Fuck this shit," It's like this shit don't work on me, and it's like, but that was a cool scene. But also seeing all the way the lighting was all dark, it was bluish, and there's a lot of fog everywhere, and the sound effects that play when he comes in, it's like, actually, I think some of those sound effects kind of remind me of in Aliens. I think it's actually some of the same sound effects, but it makes sense. But I'm just like, I just really love the way the film was made, and just I love that it took the story serious. Like,
and not only that, but another thing that I liked about it, I mean, that's for Pumpkinhead, and seeing how the beginning stages of him being brought back to life, and then after the father, he makes his deal with this woman,
yeah,
and then all the way up to the end when you finally see Pumpkinhead face to face. I mean, you do see him throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it, and I don't know if you noticed, but the more and more he got close, the Pumpkinhead got closer to his goal of killing everybody that he needed to, he looked more and more like the father.
Yeah, he started changing his face.
And when you saw him turn around, or you saw him face, the camera, it looks so much like the father. And I was just like, oh my God. And I remember seeing that. Yeah, Ed. And I remember seeing that when I was a kid, and I was like, oh shit, I was just like, this is fucking cool. And I mean, I was really awed by it when I was a kid. That's what she
said, that there's a heavy price to pay. And I think it's like, I could be wrong about this, but from what I've got from the film is like, when you call Pumpkinhead, he kills everyone, but you slowly become Pumpkinhead. Because you saw at the end, the father, Ed's face started becoming more like Pumpkinhead's face.
Yeah.
While the Pumpkinhead started becoming more like his face. So I guess by the time, if it does succeed, I guess the person that brought him actually becomes Pumpkinhead, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that was the whole thing, because that's what I got from it when I watched it.
Because then when she, at the very end, when she buries the Pumpkinhead body, he has the necklace on there.
So yeah, the person that, called for Pumpkinhead in the first place ends up becoming
So really, it's not even worth calling it, because then you're going to be fucking that now.
Either, you become him, or you kill yourself and then become him. So, I mean, that's why she said it's a heavy price to pay.
The only thing I can say about the film that maybe it's a slight disappointing is that none of the kills are really what I expect from a monster film like that. Like, he kind of just grabs them and like drops them and scratches them, but I was expecting more like they were gonna be torn apart, like ripped to shreds and shit. And it didn't really do that.
No,
and I thought that's kind of like so disappointing. But
yeah, I mean,
it doesn't kill the film, but it's just disappointing.
It's not like how Alien or anybody else would tear somebody apart. No, I mean, he still leaves the bodies intact.
I like how he opens doors and windows with the bodies.
I know. I like how
like the window. He just
the window. He was just like smearing that face.
Like he just pushes her in, and then like he drops her. But then the other guy he has alive, he opens the door with his body, and then like he drops the body. Like you don't have to use a person to open the door. It's like that's just like the way he opens doors.
I know, but it's so funny, like seeing that, and I could not stop. And I'm sorry, but people are probably gonna think I'm twisted. But even when we're watching it, when we're sitting in there watching this movie, and he put the face up against the glass, like I just could not stop laughing. And I felt bad because some older lady was sitting next to me, and she was like really silent.
But when it comes to the film, I feel kind of bad for all of them, because they all kind of didn't deserve to die, except the one asshole who did kill the kid. Because he was the one who was drinking, he was driving, he's all like, you guys can't help him and shit, and he's like, unplugs the phone and locks them in the closet. And I was like, dude, this guy's a dick, man. I mean, he's really the only one that deserves to die. And, he kind of tries to redeem himself, saying like, you want me, and but it's like, dude, it's already too late, dude.
It's already too late.
You've already been an asshole your whole life. You already
fucked all your friends, you fucked yourself, and you're done.
And to me, the one guy who really did care, his brother, who stayed with the kid, I think he gets killed the worst out of all of them.
He does.
He's all fucked up by the time he gets them.
I feel so bad for him.
This guy didn't deserve that.
I'm like, oh, dude, really?
He's the one who tried to help the boy. He said, I'll stay with the kid, for the father gets here and shit. Then he's the one who gets killed the worst.
But being in a parent's position, you just see your kid laying there on the ground, unconscious, not really moving.
I mean, I honestly think Pumpkinhead should have just came after that one guy and left the rest alone. The rest of them didn't do anything. It was just that one dude that really fucked everything up.
I know.
He should have killed him only, not killed all of them. But so I feel kind of bad. It's kind of hard to watch a horror film where you feel people are dying and they don't really deserve it to die. They don't really deserve to die. And it's like, why am I watching them get killed for?
There's always that one asshole that ruins it for everybody.
Special effects were really good, and I would expect that with the director is a special effects legendary.
Yeah.
He's legendary in the special effects department. So I would expect this film to have really good special effects. And Pumpkinhead looks great. I really love how Pumpkinhead looks. That was really well done.
And it's funny because Pumpkinhead is, usually one of my favorite monsters when it comes to that. Why am I coming out so low?
You gotta talk louder. You gotta scream.
I don't want to scream.
Talk louder is better for you. Here.
Okay, let me start over. But yeah, like when it comes to monsters, Pumpkinhead is usually my first it's usually my first guy to go to because I just love his design. Because, and especially Alien because they're similar. But, I just love his design. I like how, when he's dragging a body, you see his, legs moving and everything else.
He kind of looks like a white xenomorph.
He does. He looks like that albino xenomorph that came out in that other one.
And
What was it?
Part 3? I know part 4 has the baby one, but part 3 is one the kind of whitish.
Because I know that other guy, the one that played what's his name, Top Dollar or something in the Crow movies.
Yeah.
In the first one.
Yeah.
He comes out on there.
Well, that's part 4 then.
Then it's okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, I had a fun time watching.
Of course, this was your first time watching the whole movie fully through.
Yeah.
It was like my God knows how many times watching this movie.
I just love that the film, sure, it's a horror type of fantasy. It's not really believable in the real world. But in this movie, I love how it takes it serious. Like, and I love just the way the whole film just feels. I don't know. It's hard to explain because, older horror films have that feeling. And I've kind of forgotten that feeling because it's been a long time since I've seen an old horror film that I never seen before. So even the ones I have seen that do have that feeling, I kind of take them for granted because I've seen them so many times. Yeah. So it's refreshing to see a film like this because for me, essentially, it's almost like a brand new film for me. Yeah. And watching it's like, God, I miss old horror films so much. These new ones they don't cut it.
To me, they knew what to do and how to do it when it comes to certain scenes. And from the interaction with the monsters or just those scenes where it's just a little more laid back and played down. To me there was just something about it that they knew what they were doing with those movies compared to now.
Well, because it's not like I don't want no one saying or thinking that I'm saying modern horror films are all garbage.
No, there's been some that are good,
but they all do stuff that kind of hurts the films. Let's say The Conjuring 2. Mm-hmm. That had some good moments in there, but the one part I thought that did not belong in there was that crooked man thing. It was all CGI, and it was like it's just like it wasn't scary.
And like you said,
I was like the crooked man could look cool if someone like Stan Winston over here was doing the work on it. It would look real, would look cool. But you that little cheap CGI and that looks like
it just brings it down.
And it's like it didn't look as good, so it's just like. So lazy.
That's why I kind of miss when they had these, people that were actually dressed up as, these monsters or, having a puppet or something doing it, an animatronic doing it, because it brings it so much more life than CGI would. And that's, I think, where it falters when it comes to anything that's a creature or supernatural or anything.
I don't think modern films can do creature films anymore.
No, because
they're too busy with CGI and it never looks good. Like, look at Slender Man. That's going to be technically a creature feature. Yeah. But he's all CGI in that movie from what it looks like. So
and that's the thing is that as much as I kind of want to see that one, it just brings it down for me because I know it's going to look good for one, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, is that to me it's only going to look good for that one day when you first see it. And then after that, it's just going to be like, oh God, it just looks horrible.
Well, that's the problem. I think that's why a lot of people don't do creature films anymore. Because creature films, to me, they have to be done the right way. They have to be actually there on set. They have to be prosthetics. They have to be a puppet or something. They have to be there. Because the fun thing about creature films is the creature. And you want to see it constantly. You want to see how cool it looks, how scary it looks, how detailed it looks. And when you do it CGI, it ruins... you lose that of that creature, and it's like it's not as fun no more because of that. So it's like That's why you don't see a lot of good creature films no more, because they don't want to do that shit no more.
And that's what
like,
I kind of miss is, you know, when people actually took time because they cared about something so much and they wanted it to look good. And seeing how it's not done anymore because it's too expensive or whatever the case may be, but I don't even see how it's you're possible. Losing, you know, that magic point.
Everyone says that's too expensive, but I would still think CGI is more expensive than real prosthetics and real stuff. I mean,
I think they just want to bust out the movie quicker.
Well,
because I mean, you can have people bring, you know, but you can have people model these, you know, things in a computer program, like whatever they may use, and, you know, skin them, do whatever, and, you know, pay these people for it.
But the magic's gone.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that the magic, the life of it is gone. There's none of it there.
CGI is at its best when you don't realize CGI is there. That's when it's at its best. If it's so obvious that it's CGI, it's not good, because it doesn't feel real.
And that's why I think I liked Underworld a little bit more.
Well, they try to mix it.
Yeah, because they used it in parts where, you know, you couldn't really tell. Like, of course, when they did that other scene in the other movie where, you know, it was what was it? When they showed all these lichens running towards the castle or whatever, you know, in one of the other films, like, yeah, they had to use CGI in there, but when it came to up close and personal, when you see these lichens battling it out with these vampires, you know, you could see that was actually somebody in a suit that was just going at it. I mean, but it gave it that life, that magic that, you know, we're just talking about, and it gave so much more depth to the movie when you see that.
Well, see, that's why I was talking about. If Pumpkinhead was this exact same movie, but with a CGI monster, I think the movie would have sucked.
It would have sucked.
It would have been it wouldn't have been the same, because seeing the monster and actually being able to get a feel like he is right there in front of those characters, grabbing them and doing it makes it so believable. Well, if it's CGI, it's not good. But overall, you know, there's just a lot of things about the movie I really enjoy. Like, I like whenever the people start getting killed, like, he could, like, feel it or sense it.
Yeah.
And then the dogs would, like, start thinking, like, they start growling at him, because it's like they almost feel that he's not him no more.
Yeah.
Like, the dogs
know something's up.
And that was cute with the dog and the dogs in the toy box.
I know, that was so cute. He was just, like, popping his head out.
Like, I thought that was...
He was like, nope, fuck this, and went back in.
That was really cute.
Yeah, like, that dog was adorable.
He was just in the toy box. Like,
yeah, in the toy chest.
like that was cute.
He just popped up real quick, and he was like, nope, fuck it.
Overall, you know, I think this is a pretty cool idea that the Alamo Drafthouse is doing this with every Wednesday showing a horror film. Next Wednesday is going to be The Descent. And actually, I have the movie on Blu-ray, but I wouldn't mind going to see it in theaters. I never saw it in theaters.
And they're gonna do what else?
After that one, it's gonna be Wreck.
It's Wreck,
which is the real version, the Spanish version of that film Quarantine.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing that one either. I've never even seen Wreck either. I've never seen it.
Well, Wreck, no. Quarantine, yes, but I mean,
saw Quarantine, but it was like, so even though Wreck's gonna be almost the exact same thing, because Quarantine was just a copy of it.
Yeah.
But the acting is probably better in Wreck.
Now, I'm a little bit I'm kind of claustrophobic, and I hate anything that's like that. So yeah, that's one movie that kind of got to me, because they're in such a enclosed space and they can't escape.
Do you mean the Descent or?
Well, The Descent too. The Descent and Quarantine really got to me on those two parts, because, you know, you're in these dark spots, can't escape, you're trying to find a way out, and trying to survive, and it's just like, ugh. So I'm claustrophobic, you know that.
So this discussion was supposed to be mainly on Pumpkinhead, but we kind of got off track with
we did
everything
get off track.
else.
What do you mean, kinda?
But, well, because, you know, when you talk about movies like this, you have to talk about all that other stuff how it makes you feel, and how other movies don't.
But I just kind of wish that modern movies would kind of go back to the roots, and
they're too afraid to now, because they got to make bank. So it's not worth making a low budget film. Even though when you make a low budget film, it's a better chance of you making your money back, because it's a low budget. But when you make fucking films that, like, in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, that's a big You gotta make your money back on that. That's a lot of fucking money to make back.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do a low budget film, and get good actors. That's the problem today too. Now there's hardly any good actors out there anymore, and you try to make a horror film on low budget, you get some actors that they just suck.
And sad to say, a lot of the better actors are British actors.
Yeah, because they actually act over there.
Yeah.
In America,
here it's like it's
garbage.
just half-ass, and the only good ones are older now.
Yeah, no. I think that's one thing that kind of kills my taste in movies, at least modern movies. That a lot of the good actors I loved, they're old and they don't do movies anymore. And now I'm stuck with a bunch of mediocre modern actors that have. And again, this may not be true, but to me, I feel none of them. A lot of those actors have no real passion for films.
No.
To me, it's just like, hey, I can act, I can be funny on screen, I can be good looking, and I can make lots of money. And it's like, I don't feel the real passion that you love to act. And I don't get that from a lot of these modern actors. Like the one that Lance, I always forget his name. That Lance Henriksen. No, he's Bishop.
He's Bishop.
No, he's a great actor. No, I love him. I love him in films.
So much love to that guy.
So, just seeing someone like him, I'd rather see him than see a lot of these modern actors.
I mean, look at Bill Paxton.
Yeah, he was good too.
He was good too. He was a punk on the Terminator, and then, of course, when he was in Aliens, he was like, "Game over, man, game over." He was all like freaking out, and I love that about him.
So, so all I can say, it was really refreshing to watch this movie because it really caught my imagination again. Like when I was a kid watching all these classic films for the first time, being like, and I kind of remember now why I fell in love with horror movies when I did. The modern movies, they kind of brought me down. I'm just like, it's all right, okay. But this one kind of brought me back to my childhood, and I was like watching something that I haven't seen before, and it's so. I just love it.
Just bringing that love back.
You can't go wrong with an 80s
appreciation
with an 80s horror film. 80s, man, they were so good at horror films. They really were. Yeah. Especially with creature movies in the 80s.
But it's a shame that,
spot on.
You could tell where some of these modern movies, and some of them that are not that bad, but you could tell that a lot of these modern movies that could have been made better just by bringing animatronics in or somebody in prosthetics or whatever, could be good. And yet, they're falling in that area because they don't want to take the time to do it or spend the money to do it.
Right. So, again, with Pumpkinhead, I like the whole premise of it.
Love it.
It's a great premise where, you call this monster out and he's going to get revenge for you, but it's a really heavy price on you.
It's a high price
you're
to pay.
You're going to become it pretty much, basically. But
you got to understand from his point being a grieving father and,
I love the concept of it because I like even the beginning scene when he's a little boy and he's just like...
And that little boy was so cute.
And you see he sees the Pumpkinhead out there killing some guy. And it's like...
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. And it's just like, God damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the whole movie just works. And like I said, it really brought me back to my childhood. And I'm remembering why I love the horror films that I love. And it's a shame that modern films can't do that. So, but overall, I had a fun time watching Pumpkinhead. I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah. And I never got to see it in theaters because when this came out, I was...
A baby. Or possibly.
My mom was probably still pregnant with me.
You might not even be born yet.
When did it come out?
No, you weren't born yet.
Oh, hell no.
It came out October 14th. So
October 14th? No.
You were still in the womb.
Yeah.
So you weren't born yet, technically, when it came out.
I was trying to bake. But failed because I still came out looking like Casper.
So I would tell anybody, go watch Pumpkinhead. I would say don't expect to be scared by it.
No.
I don't really consider it scary. It's just one of those films that you can just get lost in its world that it's trying to show, and it's just interesting
and appreciate
and
it.
The Pumpkinhead character and the lore behind it. It's really interesting. I love the way it was done, and and I like the character Ed. You see him, he's a good man. He takes care of his son. He works hard, and
he's a hard worker.
And he just even after he summons the monster Pumpkinhead, he could have been like, or
okay, I don't care.
Kill them all. But no, he thought it.
He had that remorse
after the first kill. He like instantly regretted what happened. He was like, "I can't do this. You got to stop it. I don't want to be a part of this." And like, it's too late. And then
that lady was just like, "Oh, you got to let it take its course."
He's just like, "No, I'm gonna find a way to kill it." And then to see at the very end where he says the only way to kill it is to kill yourself. And,
because when he gets stabbed by that thing,
I know.
he's all like, that's when it snaps and he realizes.
So he kills himself, and it's like, Ed, the whole movie is a good, honest man. Yeah, it's just a shame.
He's a good guy, but
it's a shame what happened to his son. You know?
But you got to understand, a parent losing their child—that's something nobody should experience.
So overall, said you love the film.
Of course, I love the film.
I like the film a lot.
It's as old as me.
And again, I suggest everybody, if you love horror films, love older horror films, I say go watch Pumpkinhead. I think it's a very underrated film. I feel like it doesn't get the same kind of recognition it deserves, which is a shame. Yeah. But hopefully,
I still got love for it.
Hopefully, people start watching it again. Apparently, what was I seeing here? I thought I saw something about a freaking reboot of it or something.
What?
Which I'm not really looking forward to that.
No.
But, a reboot of the series is currently in the works and is to be produced by a Saw producer, Peter Block.
Oh, God.
Block told Entertainment Weekly that Nate Atkins will write the script for the reboot and will start filming in 2017. The film will pay homage to the original film. As of 2018, there has been no update on the reboot's development so far. Well, that sounds like bad news already for it.
Yeah.
But again, if you're gonna make a reboot, it has to be a real guy in a suit or puppet or whatever. It cannot be CGI.
But seeing that, it's gonna be CGI.
If it's CGI, you failed already. You cannot make it CGI.
I'm sorry, but people need to learn how to leave classics alone.
It's like
that's just my thing.
It's like the movie The Thing, and I don't mean the 82 one. I mean the more modern one, the prequel to that movie.
Oh yeah.
This one kind of sucks. They had real animatronics for that film when they were filming, and the animatronics looked pretty good. But then the production company or whatever, when after it was shot, they said, "Well, let's add a bunch of CGI on top of it." And it was like, you didn't have to do that. It looked good the way it was, and they add CGI on it, and it's like, well, that kind of like made it look cheapy now. Yeah. So it's like you didn't have to go that route. The Thing is still one of the best films out there when it comes to animatronics. It looks amazing to this day. It does not look aged at all. And while the newer movie, since it used CGI, it looks dated real quick. And it's like...
Well, because it's like within the first month or the first year of anything CGI, it looks horrible.
Movies need to stop doing that with CGI. CGI is good when you don't know it's CGI. Like on the backgrounds, on the scenery.
Like I said, in Underworld.
That's good CGI. Because most movies... You see like those open shots of the cities, those cars. A lot of that shit's not even there. It's all CGI. Yeah, but you don't realize that's CGI. So that's good CGI. When you get like a monster and you put him in front of you and he's like so fake looking, it's like, no. Save the CGI monsters for video games, not for movies. they don't look good. Unless you really take your time on it and blend it with like real animatronics. Like Jurassic Park. Some of it was CGI. A lot of it was animatronics. Yeah. And when you blend it, you lose sight of what's fake and what's not, and it blends well. When you just go full-blown CGI, and you lose the magic of it. And, yeah, it's just been... This video, again, like I said, it's been all over the place. It should have been mostly about Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, it should have been mostly about Pumpkinhead, and but sorry about going off.
Going off on different topics about horror films in general. But
yeah, it's something that this movie is one that I always had a deep appreciation for what it did, even though it wasn't as big as other ones. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, I would say go and check out the original one, of course, which was that got released in '88, because same year as me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you have never seen it, go ahead and find it, and
it should be easy to find. It's on Blu-ray too.
Oh yeah. Just go and find it, watch it, and, have a look-see. But, I mean...
Yeah, I would say...
It's something that...
Get it, put on your TV, turn the lights off, pop some popcorn, and just sit back and relax and just watch...
I'm ready for another horror movie right now.
Just watch a good horror film. I know it's hard to recommend horror films because some people watch horror films to be scared. Yeah. And I've never been that kind of horror fan. Because I don't get scared of horror films. I just love the craft of it.
I like getting lost in the world.
I love the film of it. And so when I recommend horror films, it's not because I'm saying you're gonna be scared with it because I don't think you will be unless you're a really big pussy. But I just recommend horror films that are just enjoyable to watch for every aspect of cinematography, of acting, of story, of the characters, of the either animatronics or the killer or the monster, whatever. That's what I enjoy. I'm not necessarily saying you should watch it because it's scary, because I can't recommend that because I don't get scared of horror.
You don't get
films.
scared.
So I can't recommend something that's scary to anybody. Because whether you get scared or not, that's going to be on you. Because some people get scared of shit like Halloween. I'm just like, come on, dude, it's not even scary.
I don't see how you can
It's awesome, scared. But it's not scary. So it's just... And people have different fears when it comes to horror films. I don't get scared. Except Evil Dead. That one got me.
That one, it was like, whoa.
So, again... Pumpkinhead's great. I love the Alamo Drafthouse, what they're doing with horror films on Wednesdays. And if we can, I would love to go see Descent and then go do another discussion like this about the Descent. And try to stay on focus on the Descent. So that would be fun. It's just a really cool concept. And I think more people, if you have an Alamo Drafthouse, and if they're doing that, I would say go support it. Go enjoy it. It's a really fun group. You could tell a lot of people who went there at the
horror movie fans.
They're horror fans, and it's just like that's cool, because I love horror films. I love being around horror people that love horror. A lot of people don't understand horror, and they go, "That's like a shitty genre. It's just killing and naked girls," and they're like, it's more than that. Yeah, and just because you like romantic comedies, and I don't give a shit, it's like I don't care what you like.
Hate romantic comedies, man.
I love horror films, and to be honest. These horror films, these old ones, a lot, even though I will say a lot of them probably work better when you're by yourself, alone in your house, in the dark. But there's something magical about watching a horror film, especially an old one, in the theater on the big screen.
Yes.
Especially because it's so blown up, that film grain's even bigger, and I just
I'm kind of upset now that to think about it that we missed Suspiria when they showed it there too.
Yeah, and I've seen that movie too before.
I don't think I saw all of it, though.
That movie's not meant for everybody.
It's not.
Again, I can't say that it's scary, but while Suspiria is a very artistic type of movie, and it looks great, the cinematography. A lot of people, I will say, it's probably slow for a lot of people. Yeah. And some people may not find it scary at all. There is one scene that's, I wouldn't say it's scary, but it does give me chills. I think everyone knows what scene it is when that girl comes behind the door and she's like, her eyes were fucked up and she had like the knife in her hand. She's like laughing. That scene, I don't really get scared of movies, but that scene, something about that scene, the way it's shot and with the lack of music, you hear like the music and she's like scared and that door opens and you just see it's pure quiet and you just hear her laughing. That's good filmmaking. Yes. And thinking about it right now, I just felt chills in my back right now. That's what good filmmaking is in horror films. You don't need the constant. You don't jump scare and shit.
Constant music building up to a scare. No,
that works.
Sometimes when you just go dead silent and just have that character doing something else vocally, that will fucking get to you.
Just thinking about it right now, I'm still the chills in my back right now. Fuck, man. Okay, well, hopefully we can do this again next Wednesday. I like having our little nights when we can just go watch movies like that. Yeah, that'd be fun. If you guys. I'm sorry if we got off a real topic here because it's hard to stay on topic, especially when you're talking about everything about horror films. And I could talk about horror films all fucking day. It's just something.
Yeah, but right now you need to shut it.
Something I like doing. So if you liked it, let us know. And if you want to see more of this and our discussions about these horror films as they come out in the Alamo Drafthouse on Wednesdays, we can make this a new series. Have like a horror Wednesday type of series where we just talk about horror films after we go watch them.
But yeah, if you know any Alamo Drafthouse near you and they're doing this sort of thing, definitely go check it out. I mean, you may be surprised that you end up enjoying it, especially some of the older films. And
it's cool hearing little special things about the film. When the guy, before it started, he talked about a few things about the film. And that's really interesting, especially if you love horror films, you love the makings of them and other stuff behind the scenes. Yeah. It's really interesting. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I'm glad they did that instead of just playing the movie. Because it adds another little extra layer of fun to the whole experience.
It acts as another layer of fun and love for these movies, and to have that much more of appreciation.
To me, horror films are really the only films that just feel mandatory for theaters. I mean, when you watch like an action movie, it's like, oh, okay, it's fun,
Okay.
but you don't really ever have to go watch it again in theaters. You can enjoy the action film at home too, but horror films really feel good in theaters,
Yes.
especially when you're with people that just love these films.
Yeah,
And
when you're
it's
among
fun.
other people that enjoy these kind of movies, it just brings it more,
And it's funny. We saw a lot of people, man. Most of them were just wearing black clothes, like
Yeah.
that. So it was just like
it was like a room full of black sheep in there.
so I was like, oh, that was fun.
But it was
All right.
cool.
All right, so this has been a fun night because we saw Pumpkinhead. I really enjoyed watching it. And you've always liked it.
Yes.
So it was great for me to finally see it. I'm glad I finally saw it. It reminds me of why I love horror films to begin with.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun night, and I'm looking forward if we go watch The Descent on Wednesday. I love that film already, but again, I've never seen it in theaters, so it'd be kind of interesting to see it up there. And now that I've done it, I kind of want to keep supporting them because it's kind of cool that I don't want them to stop doing it. You know, it's such a cool concept, and it's like, yeah, keep bringing the horror movies on. Show me older horror films. I don't care. I love horror films. I don't care what age, you know, if it's the 40s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
To hell with what decade it came out, and if it's good, it's good.
I would say just maybe not too much 2000s. I mean, you know, The Descent's 2000 movie, which I like that movie, but not too much.
There were very few that were good.
I like seeing a lot of the older films out there. I would love to see a lot of horror. I would love to see The Exorcist if they played that on there.
Oh yes.
So maybe they already have already. I don't know, but if they do, I'm definitely going to that one for sure.
Actually, I want to say that they may have done that.
They probably have already. But yeah. So, guys, I think that's going to be it for now. It's almost an hour-long discussion here. Kind of about Pumpkinheads, half of it, and the other half about just horror films in general.
Just going ranting on.
So, again, I hope you enjoyed, and I think this is going to be our cutoff point. I've been Metal Horror Gamer.
And I'm Mother Mischief.
And we'll see you guys, hopefully, for this type of video, maybe next Wednesday again.
Yeah.
After we watch the film. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. Later.